All right, video is live. Stand by for audio. And it's Dandashy, right?
Yeah, Dandashy.
There we go. All right, stand by. All right, good day and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Live the Fuel show. So today I'm bringing on a new contact, little co-host here for you guys, and she's gotten connected actually thanks to the Thrive community. We've had so many co-hosts come on thanks to the Attend Thrive event every single year. But she and I actually did not get a chance to connect. And more importantly, I love the power of how circles in different time zones, different areas of the country, different areas of the world can somehow collide. And I'm just finding out that her family's, just from little old Allentown, Pennsylvania, where I'm at here. So, but let's give you a little more detail on this lady before we bring her on here. So, Sarah is an award-winning concierge and travel influencer. And we're going to talk about that because I'm believing on some fun travel coming up in a couple of weeks. But she won the title of Best Young Concierge in the world in 2015 from, and I am not French, so I'm going to go with Les Clefs Dior International, and it's an international professional organization of concierge. So I didn't even know this existed. So we're going to talk about this too because I love travel and I love lifestyle. But along with the hotel brands from the Peninsula, Four Seasons, Fairmont Hotels, she's also worked with big brands within the travel realm like TripAdvisor and Airbnb. I've used all of them. American Airlines, to name a few. So she's considered a verified source of travel information, as both as a local expert in LA and through her concierge connections around the world. So guys, we're going to bring her on here in a second, but please seek her out for her travel tips, advice, knowledge of trends, from the front lines of travel. Her website is askaconcierge.tv. And we'll have all this stuff connected in the show notes. But without further ado, Sarah Dandashy, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. It's awesome to be here.
Well, thank you for having a good intro.
Well, thank you for delivering it so well.
I'm trying. You put in the reps, you get a little bit better at it. So it's been a little over a year since we launched the show. So I figure I might have a little bit of experience. So
maybe just a little bit.
Yeah. So why didn't we meet up at Thrive?
Put me on the spot there.
I got to call you out right away.
Call me out. Well, it's interesting. So this was actually my first Thrive event. And with that being said, it was a little, and not overwhelming in a bad way, but it really almost ended up kind of speaking to me and in a way that I was a little bit more introspective with a couple things. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's also a networking event, but it was just like so much good information just thrown at me. And I'm like, whoa, I need to take a time out and really digest. So unfortunately, we didn't get to meet there, but hey, we're connected now.
Well, let's be real. I mean, I'm not ripping on you because I wanted to bring that up just because I think a lot of people who've had on numerous co-hosts, I mean, this is just a list from last year's podcasting of all the different people I connected with. I'm going to have to make a fun graphic to show off all the different co-hosts that I've met thanks to Thrive. And I do promote it. I'm rocking the hat right now. I still got my wristband on because I am a 2-year alumni. And the whole point of Thrive, Make Money Matter is really, again, not just a tagline to make money matter, but I love the fact that it's people like you and myself who we were surrounded by 1,000 other professionals, young, old, didn't matter. So it's not really always possible to meet every single person in the community, in the network. You obviously being a newer contact, I was trying to catch up with everybody that I had met last year and still meet some new contacts as well and just have a blast and learn that big message of making money matter, creating for-purpose businesses and everything else. So like I said, I'm not actually ripping on you. I just thought it was kind of funny that we have to catch up virtually. But that's also the power in who you are. And how the power of podcasting too is that I've got this platform and you and I didn't get a chance to meet, but then you noticed that I was from Allentown, Pennsylvania. And you're like, oh my God, I got to connect with this guy because we didn't get to connect live at the event in Vegas.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's by the way, I mean, for those, I'm sure obviously people do know a little bit about Allentown, Pennsylvania, but it is small enough that if you see somebody else from there, you got to reach out.
And let's be real. Hold on. Now, guys, ladies and gentlemen, Allentown's not that small. I mean, we keep blowing up down here in the valley, as we like to call it, because we're only an hour and a half north of Philly and maybe an hour and a half west of New York City. So it's actually kind of a sweet spot to have access to two major metropolitan areas with a lot of culture and a lot of history.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, look, I'm not hating. I was born there, okay? Much love for A-Town. Much love.
Wait, hold on. What school did you go to?
So, okay. So I actually didn't, well, I went to Union Terrace briefly, which is the elementary school there.
Okay.
But I
I have
actually
no
didn't
clue.
live there. I was born there, but then I lived in Saudi Arabia until I was 6. I then lived in London for a year, and Allentown briefly, because that's where my grandparents are. My mom was pretty much born and raised there. So I'd spend summers there, holidays there. Then I went to school in DC, lived in New York for a bit, and then now I've been in LA like 12 years.
Wow. Well, and let's be real. Like, I'm not from the Lehigh Valley either. I mean, I was born in New Jersey, and then we moved over when I was like in 5th grade. And then come college, I started breaking things up a little bit. I moved to South Carolina for a little while. Then I moved back. And actually, I never even lived in Allentown until the past like 3 years. I went to a high school called Penargil High School, which is actually closer to the Poconos.
Oh, wow.
And then went to a community college here, and then went to Penn State because Penn State has a local campus here. And then years later, working for a corporation, I went back to school, was going to a school here called DeSales University. So again, then left, and then I moved out to Arizona. So I didn't get the international exposure you have, but I've lived in Arizona, I've lived in Colorado. So yeah, we got around. We didn't always live in the Lehigh Valley.
Yeah, for sure. But I have to say, it's nice to kind of come back to it. I certainly look forward to my holidays. And anytime I get to go back there to visit my family, I'm like, good old Allentown.
It's actually interesting. I used to joke around. I said, my God, everybody who leaves comes back when it's time to start a family. Yeah. And maybe not everybody, but I will tell you, because all the grandparents, as you're hinting at, or the parents that become grandparents, still live here. So I can't tell you how many people over the years that moved out before I did. And then they're like, oh man, you're moving back already. And I'm like, am I? I was like, when did you move back? Because they've been back, they got kids. I don't have kids. Why'd you move back? I moved back to help a friend start up a company. I didn't come back because of kids and grandparents.
Yeah, it's true. It's fair enough. I have to say, actually, I always make fun of my mother because she spent her whole life trying to like move all the way around, and she lived in the Middle East and Europe. And then next thing you know, she's back so that she can be close to her parents. And I'm like, really, Mom? Is that what you did?
Well, I mean, so let's jump in here a little bit. You already just dropped some sweet countries. Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Awesome. What's that all about?
You're like, awesome. I'm like, really?
I'm about to fly in. And wait. I'm actually going to be flying in 2 weeks into Qatar.
Well, that will be interesting.
I guess, because I've never been. So it's a connection hub for us. So
yeah, no, you'll be fine. Obviously, you're just at the airport. No, I'm half Lebanese, which most people can't tell. I don't really look.
The blonde hair definitely throws us off. Again, to our listeners, guys, we do have this stuff go out to YouTube too. So if you need to see what we're talking about, she does not look like a typical Lebanese, because there is a lot of Lebanese in the Lehigh Valley. Actually,
yeah,
I've had a lot of Lebanese friends over the years. So.
Oh, absolutely. I know there are. And it's always interesting. Whenever I go back, my grandmother always takes me to the different Lebanese markets and is like, my granddaughter, she's Lebanese, speak Arabic. And I'm like, okay, hey, show pony. Let's.
I'm a little rusty.
Exactly. Very rusty for sure. So that's, so because of the Lebanese side, my dad had some business opportunities. We have a lot of family in the Middle East and different countries there, and some of them being in Saudi Arabia. So he had that opportunity, and my mom was like, heck yeah, let's go. She was ready for an adventure in the late 70s. So they moved to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And then I was actually born in Allentown. And then pretty much as soon as I could get my passport, or my mother could get my passport, back on a plane, and we were back over to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, where I lived until I was 6.
And you're saying Jeddah, or am I saying that right?
Yeah, Jeddah. So it's Jeddah.
Okay, yeah, all right, that's what I thought you were saying, but that's important. You know, I'm sure I've got other listeners out there. They're probably like, "What is she saying?" I was like, "I want to know." No. Is Jeddah a major area of Saudi Arabia?
It is one of the larger cities. There's Riyadh, and then obviously Jeddah are
I know Riyadh.
Yeah, Riyadh, exactly. And Jeddah is basically along the coast, right there by the Red Sea. So, so yeah, Yeah. I mean, look, I was a kid, so I had a great time. I mean, it was a very different life, and it wasn't, obviously now, if I would go back now, it would be very jarring. And
Right.
I certainly have certain, I don't want to say questions, but it would definitely be very different than the life that I've been living. Now, interestingly enough, my mother was born and raised in the States, and she went there, and yes, okay, women can't drive, but she was like, well, I get a driver. That's pretty cool, because that's like the culture.
I like the adaptation there. I like that. It's
Right?
well, you know what? You want to take away my driving privileges? Cool. I'll just roll
Right.
around VIP.
Exactly. So, and then it's like, okay, fine. I have to be covered up. Okay, well, if I'm not covered up, then everybody's going to catcall. So, fine, I'll be covered up. And she had a really interesting perspective on it, which I think really influenced the way that I look at cultures and everything. Is that, and especially when you're traveling all the time, so often people are like, oh gosh, it's so different, or it's this, or whatever. And
Right.
she really took an approach of, she's like, look, I didn't grow up here. She's like, I'm not of this mindset. So
Yeah.
what am I going to do as one person, come in and throw a fit and change it? No, not at all. So she's like, I'm going to go understand where these maybe rules have come from and embrace it. And
Well, I think that's what we're all supposed to do, aren't we? I mean, the whole point of traveling to other countries is to respect and understand those cultures, not fight it.
Oh, absolutely. But you do have to say that there are times that people really like to bring a strong sense of who they are, when they travel. I mean, I see it. Certainly, obviously, Americans have a reputation when they travel. There's definitely a stereotype. Not to say that everybody is that way, but also similarly, I work in hospitality now, and the number of tourists that come in, and then you have very distinct stereotypes, whether they're from France or whether they're from England or whether they're from Australia, even Japanese. People are going to bring their culture with them, but it's
absolutely, it's who they
how
are.
graciously they interact with the locals.
So, would you say that for me, like obviously, I did at least look it up on the map that the Qatar airport that I'm flying into is on the coast of the Red Sea, which I think it's hilarious. Like we're going to South Africa, but the flight was priced better, and with the airline looked really, really nice. So like, hey, let's fly into Qatar. It's just, I'm going to the other side of Saudi Arabia just to go south to Africa. Yep. So we're going to be flying a lot. I think the first leg of the flight is like 19 hours or something like that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But wait, are you flying Qatar Airways?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. My fiance booked everything. This is really it's really her trip. I'm just going along for security.
Oh gosh. Oh darn. Oh, tough life.
Yeah.
So amazing. I mean, that airport and everything over there, you're fine. It's a big hub. Probably that's the airline that you're flying.
We just have we're laying over for a few hours, so we're not even leaving the airport. Yeah, it's not that big a deal.
No, it's enough to go in, do some.
I heard it's beautiful though.
It is. I actually haven't been to the Qatar airport, but I have been to Dubai, which is obviously not too far away, and that was an incredible experience. So I really enjoyed that. I had very low expectations, but I went and I was pleasantly surprised.
Well, friends of ours, they just got married a few weeks ago, and actually, literally, you saw in the Thrive Facebook group. Like I had to miss Friday's speakers because my friends were getting married on the Finger Lakes in New York. So I had to travel. I had to travel to Syracuse, New York, to pick up a rental car to give my car to my fiance to continue driving to the lake house. Then I picked up the rental car, waited in Syracuse, grabbed my buddy flying in from Colorado who's also going to the wedding. Then we drove to the lake house, did the wedding thing. Then I left at like 2:00 in the morning Friday night to get back to the airport, drop the rental car, get on a plane, end up in Vegas at 9 a.m. And I was in the venue watching speakers by 10 a.m. on Saturday morning.
That is commitment right there. For everybody that's listening, oh my gosh. And also, by the way, that's totally something that I would do. So nice to meet a fellow.
People thought I was crazy. And I'm like, no, dude, I bought my ticket a year ago from the last Thrive to go to Thrive. My friend decided to get married after. I was like, that's not my fault. And I was like, you're lucky that I'm even at your wedding.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, look, this is what we've got to do. We've got to do these. But what a cool story that you've got. And, and there's so much more that you can take from it. And yeah, it might be a little crazy to some people, but
Well,
Yeah.
it's the beauty of travel. This is your thing, right? Like the whole I mean, granted, if I had a concierge figure that all out for me, that would have been amazing. But I don't roll like that. So,
Yeah.
but I'll say, hey, it's possible. You just have to, plan a little more logistical planning, and it might have cost me a little bit more, but it's in the end, I achieved two things. I got to see close friends of mine that I'll be mountain bike with tonight to celebrate their marriage, and then they took a week or two to go to Dubai for their honeymoon, and then they were connecting through Dubai. They wanted to at least experience that because they said, "Well, we're already flying that far, so why not go there?"
Totally.
And then they went down to some amazing island in the ocean. That's why they were going through there. Maybe where they probably ended up. I have no idea.
The Maldives, maybe.
Thank you. That's it.
Oh my God, I'm so good at this game. Yes.
Wow, you just nailed that. There wasn't even a hesitation.
I might know a little bit about a little bit.
Was the hint there because they were connecting through Dubai?
And an island in the ocean.
Well, when I think of islands, I'm thinking like the Fijis or whatever, and then people are like, no. Like this is the Maldives is like.
It's like I mean, it makes sense because I know where it is in relation to Dubai. So, it seemed logical.
Okay. So, and since we're geeking out about, I just kind of dropped a hint there about concierge, right? So, What is it that you do? I mean, your bio alone has you doing so much. I'm actually while you actually explain this for our YouTube watchers, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen so I can actually bring up your site here. There it is. Again, to our listeners, guys, askaconcierge.tv. So, what got you into this? Like, clearly, you know how to help people. That's what I'm getting out of this.
I do. Yeah, I do. No, so it's really it's interesting. So, and kind of unusual in the sense that bit of my backstory is I went to Georgetown. So I went to school in DC, and I have basically a really fancy international relations degree. Considering my background as well too, I've also traveled a lot as a kid, and being part of my heritage, and that I have family in the Middle East and Europe as well as the US. That was just always very natural to me. So as far as the whole international aspect, while I was going to school in DC, I always wanted to have a job while I was going to school, just for a taste of real life, I think. And that's a story for another day. But to me, I really like to have that balance of having a job as well as school, because sometimes I think when people are in school, they just get in the zone and of being studious, which is awesome, but I really like the real life aspect. So I ended up working at a hotel, the Four Seasons in Washington, D.C. It's in Georgetown. I was a hostess there in the restaurant. Not a big deal, but very cool. Great experience to have when you're 19 years old.
We all start somewhere.
Exactly. I remember thinking I was so cool. I was 19 years old going in, and I was like, I got benefits, yo. This is awesome.
We all thought that was awesome when we were younger, right? Like, hey, dude, I got full benefits. I got 401k.
It's so crazy. I mean, that's what like I'm not even old enough to legally drink, and I'm like, yeah, I got health benefits. So that was my start in hotels. And then when I moved out to Los Angeles, I kind of built a little bit of time. My whole interest in moving out here was for the entertainment industry, but I was like, well, when you're kind of focusing on what to do, you can either work in a restaurant, or I guess I could work in a hotel. So I kind of put out feelers, went and interviewed as a bartender, and pretty much on the spot, they were like, well, what do you think about being a concierge? I had traveled a little bit, so I kind of knew what a concierge did, and obviously not as in depth as I do now. And
there's some crossover there. I'm a former bartender. I mean, I actually, if you want, I told somebody this a long time ago. You could probably agree with me real quick. Concierge or bartending, or even a server, you can't beat the life lessons that come from that role, because it forces you into that human to human, face to face interaction. It teaches you how to develop communication skills, and not just read from a menu, but like, if you're really good, study people, study their physical expressions, truly develop active listening skills. Like there's so many benefits I could take out of that. And I never even did the concierge thing, but I'm just saying I got to be a head bartender at a restaurant, and I can tell you I can make a mean martini and a classic old Manhattan. Never did lose that. So that's a great life lesson that I will never forget.
Well, no, but it's, as you said, it's also the interacting with people, and not you're listening, but you're also learning how to anticipate and maybe read between the lines too, maybe what they're not actually saying. So kind of when it comes to, I think, really any sort of good customer service, it also really depends on the type of person you are. And that's really what the general manager saw in me. He was like, hey, do you want to be a concierge? And I was 22 at this point, just moved to LA. I had been in Los Angeles 2 weeks. And I'm like, well, I'm good with maps. I can figure it out. He was like, yeah, no, you'll be fine. It obviously has a lot more than how to give people directions. But then I literally studied the city. I would get off of work and I would drive the town when it wouldn't be so trafficky. I'd go to different restaurants, and maybe certainly at the time I couldn't afford to go to all these fancy restaurants, but I would just go in and like take a peek and look around. And it's like, look, you show me a menu, I can stand inside the bar area and look around and have a sense of what it's all about. It's like, I get it. So I really would kind of study it that way.
This was your own self-hustle? This wasn't being like funded or paid for by the hotel or anything?
No, this was all on my own. This was totally on my own.
See, I think that's really important. That's why I asked you real quick, because again, we talk a lot about health, business, and lifestyle, but a lot of the target audience of this show is Gen X like me and the millennials. Mm-hmm. And because there's two different generational gaps, I want people to understand that as a Generation X, I'm trying to give back to the millennial generation with guidance, especially since there's this craze about developing online entrepreneurship, online branding like yourself, and building something bigger than just out of all the context of what you learned over the years. And the biggest piece that I already took out of this was you started putting in some of your own little self-hustle, right? It's like you didn't expect this stuff to get delivered into your hands. You said, you know what? If I'm going to be the best damn concierge out there, I might have to get out there and really try and study this stuff and figure it out.
Oh, totally. And that's always been key. I mean, in essence, I was given this great opportunity. It was so great that it wasn't even on my radar as an opportunity or an option. And I'm like, I guess, will I make any money? I had no idea. Sure. And so I was like, wow. And as soon as I sort of stepped into the role, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. This I can run with this for a while. And it also came naturally to me as far as helping people, getting people excited to experience Los Angeles if they're here for the first time. And then also for those business travelers that just need to get stuff done. Mm-hmm. Oh, I get it. Tell me what you need. Let's make it happen. If it's something I don't know, cool, I'll learn it. It's fine. So it was definitely, I had to be very humble at first, and still very, very humble. Which is really important, especially when you're in that world, because you're having people that are talking to you about booking their private planes, or they want to have, the fanciest dinner that they can get into, or whatever the case is. And then you also have people that are like, hey, can you help me take the metro to XYZ? So you really have to balance all sorts of people and backgrounds. And, that really, whether it's from years of travel as a kid, kind of came easily to me. And then I also found it a really wonderful learning experience as well too, because you get to see into everyone's lives just a little bit. So it's definitely been an interesting path, but all about that hustle. It's like I had to hustle at the desk, and it was a natural sort of progression for me. It's like, okay, if I need to do this on the side, I need to do this on the side, which is also kind of how Ask a Concierge was born. Obviously, that is, I work at a hotel. I do other things. I'm an advisor on a hospitality app, and then I also have my own brand. So for me, that hustle is just...
You're an advisor on a hospitality app? That's a thing? See, this is why I love doing this show, because literally I was like, I actually almost want to kick myself in the teeth for saying that, because it's like, really? Of course that's a thing. There's a thing for everything.
There is a thing for everything.
But it's like, now, did you approach that, or did they approach you?
So this is also, so I actually get pitched a lot of things, and they ultimately approached me just because of being out there and being in hospitality. I'm kind of in a niche market and there's a lot of visibility. Obviously, I do a lot of videos. I did 108 videos last year, getting close to about
just from
50.
your travel.
Travel last year, actually, we focused more on things to do in LA. So that was 108 videos, primarily focused on Los Angeles, things to do, insider tips, etc. And then this year, instead of doing 2 videos a week, which was awesome and ambitious, I was like, let's scale it back and do 1 awesome video a week, but now we can incorporate more travel. I knew that if I was trying to include other destinations, doing 2 videos a week would be overly ambitious. So I was like, okay, we'll do 1 a week. That's still awesome. You're still on people's radar, but then cool, you can cover other places. So this year we've been able to cover different places in Europe. So Berlin, Prague, Paris, obviously around Southern California, from Palm Springs, San Diego, bit of Vegas as well too. So yeah, it's been kind of exciting as that grows and planning out more.
I just love this story because we're poking around the website to our listeners, guys. Like she's not kidding. She's got a lot of videos. I mean, your YouTube channel, obviously, that's the other thing. That's the beauty. If you're doing video, it's just going to grow. It's just going to keep growing because video will never stop. And I tell people all the time, like YouTube is basically YouTube University. So if people are trying to understand either what concierge is or just simply want to know more about travel, you put out a lot of content. So clearly your channel is one to follow. So that's awesome.
Well, it's also really interesting as well too, as far as the concierge world as well too. I totally get it. Like, I can understand if you happen to go and stay at a hotel and there's a concierge there, I can totally understand somebody that's like, what do they do? Or I'm scared to talk to the concierge, or, oh my gosh, is it going to cost me a lot of money? And so what I've really tried to do with my videos, obviously, I'll focus on a lot of content as far as travel inspiration, as one could say, but also educating people to use the concierge. If you happen to be, staying at a hotel that has a concierge, use them. They are local insiders at your fingertips, and it doesn't necessarily cost you anything. Cool. Could you ask them for some tips and insight and maybe tip them $5, $10, $15, depending on how much they help you? Yeah, but how cool that you could actually reach out, talk to somebody, get some personal insight that might take your trip to that city from like a B experience to an A+ experience, just by having a conversation with a person. So I really like to put myself out there because I understand what it's like to feel like the concierge might be intimidating, which is so weird because they just want to help, but I get it.
No, I'm like, listen, is that the concierge over there? Good. You're going to get to work. Yeah. Let's get to work, brother or sister.
Exactly.
Because I back up what you're saying. You know, that's a very, very valid point. You can probably confirm this for us. How do I say this in the right way? Us guys, I'm sure ladies do it too. In a relationship, some people feel like I'll figure this out, right? Like I'm the DIY. I'm gonna figure this out. Now in my relationship, my fiance is like, oh hell no! Like listen, let's just, the sooner we figure this out, the sooner we can have fun. So she's been doing all of her own trip planning for this trip coming up, but I could tell you once I get to South Africa, if we don't know where we're going, I'm asking for help.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
And how many guys probably don't do that? I don't know.
You know what? It is a toss-up. You would think that many of them don't. It all depends. There's so many different personalities. So especially when you've got families traveling, you'll have like the one dynamic where you've got like the mom and the kids and they're all running around trying to figure out.
It's like the old Chevy Chase movies.
Exactly.
National Lampoons. Yeah,
exactly. Family Vacation. And then the guy comes up and it's just like, you can just see he's like trying to keep it together. And he's like, we're just looking for a place for dinner.
Yeah, like seriously, for the love of God, just where am I going?
Just tell me what we should do. Or sometimes they're like, my wife's about to come over and she's going to suggest something. Please just tell her that it's not a good idea. And I'm like, oh my gosh. All right. Now
unless it's a really good idea. And then it's like, well.
True. I mean, it all depends. So I normally like to give them a little bit of validity and be like, well, to break it down, these are the pros and cons. But yeah, the more so, the interesting thing is being a female at the desk. Oftentimes, I'll be working with a male coworker, and who comes up to us. So generally, men will want to come up and talk to me, and if a woman comes up, generally a woman will want to talk to one of the male coworkers.
Really?
So I find that dynamic very interesting.
That's very intriguing psychologically, because I studied psychology when I was doing my marketing degree, and I loved the psych piece. And it's interesting because, admittedly, it makes perfect sense the way you said it, but I would also feel like almost like the female would want the common thought process from another female to confirm how she's thinking and where she's going next. But you actually see a demographic or a dynamic where they're looking for the opposite sex's opinion. Huh.
Totally. Unless it is, for example, a woman that's like, oh, where can I get my hair done? Most likely she's going to come to me versus one of the guys. Yeah. But there is that very interesting sort of crossover. And also, since we're talking a little bit about psychology, so interesting how somebody might ask you something and let's say you have to deliver no, that's whether it's obviously in hospitality, you're not supposed to deliver no's, but sometimes things aren't possible, or the reality of the situation, you have to tell them, oh no, that doesn't work, or this is closed, or whatever the case, and they won't believe you. And all it takes is that person just standing next to you to be like, yeah, actually this is the case. And just by hearing one other person confirm that it's maybe a no or a no-go, all of a sudden it's done. It's a moot point. But so often they might push and push and push. Are you sure? Are you sure? Question. And then as soon as you have another person just step in and just say, yeah, she's right. They're like, oh, okay.
Intriguing. I'm really loving this right now. So
yeah, no, it's definitely, I have to say, working in hospitality, I mean, any sort of service industry, if you really stop and kind of pay attention to the interaction, it's a really interesting course in psychology. Oh my gosh, if I can say that. In psychology and human behavior. So it's right there at your fingertips.
Now, do you find these human behaviors, do they still transcend into other domains? Like, for example, if somebody's come up to you and asking for, because again, I'm a huge health and fitness buff, right? We talk a lot about healthy lifestyle, not just travel lifestyle. But when people come up to you like, oh, what's your favorite CrossFit gym or yoga studio? Or like, do you get all that, right? And is it the same? Yeah. Is it the same thing, or is there more of the female wants to ask the female now, or vice versa?
No, gosh, it's interesting. Yeah, when it comes to that sort of stuff, it's generally female wants to ask the female. But I mean, or male.
Because I'll tell you right now, I've used concierges before if they're available at the hotel, but I've never asked their opinion on health and fitness.
You should.
I'm DIY. I've always been DIY. So I'm willing to admit that right here, right now to you, that I was like, I just never really trusted them because I figured they're just going to follow whatever is like, whoever has the most likes or whatever. But maybe I don't know. I mean,
well, here's the thing.
And that's one of your photos on your website has you doing some yoga poses. So clearly you do care about a healthy lifestyle.
I work out like 6 days a week. So when people come up to me, I'm like, bring it on, please.
Okay. So I stand corrected.
Well, that's hey, but not every concierge is as healthy as I am. No, I'm kidding. But
that actually is totally valid. So
that's very valid. But it goes to show you how starting that conversation who knows where it'll take you. Maybe the concierge, maybe that particular person isn't really big into fitness, but maybe their son or daughter is,
or their coworker.
So it's good to talk to them about that, because for me, at least I can be like, hey, oh my gosh, I've totally been to this studio. It's amazing. You've got to check it out. Or even oftentimes I might say, hey, this is what's closest to the hotel. But if you don't mind driving 5 more minutes, this is a place which I've been to. I worked out there for 2 years. So all of a sudden you're getting a personal story with it. But also whether it's that or let's say golf, for example. I know a little bit about golf, but I have a coworker who is like into golf. So if you are really into golf and you end up talking to him, how great is that advice? So you just never know. And you can be pleasantly surprised. I'm also vegetarian. So oftentimes people get a little shy when they're talking about, oh, well, we do want to eat something healthy, or, well, we have one person that's a vegetarian, and et cetera. So it's just as opening up that dialogue. And as soon as I then end up telling them, I'm like, no, you want to go here. I'm vegetarian too. I get it. Or I'm vegetarian and this is not a vegetarian place, but you can find many great things that will fit your diet.
Well, no, let's be real though. I mean, you're in LA. You pretty much have everything. I mean, you got it, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it's certainly that's par for the course. So, but many times, people are coming from other places and they're not necessarily used to that. So, you gotta tell them it'll be okay. And, they'll find something. I always call actually LA, it's the hub of the picky eaters club. So
okay.
I mean, it's like whether it's gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan, paleo, whatever it is, like you're not going to surprise anybody at any restaurant here.
Oh, I've had to soften up my approach when I travel, like because I'm a hardcore, no sugar, no grains. Like if I'm getting a burger, I'm not getting it with a bun, right? I'm like, just give me all the meat and veggies, dude. Like, so I try and soften up how I ask for it. I don't say, excuse me, I don't eat bread. Could you just give me that burger without it? No. So I try and be a little bit cool about it. I'm like, okay, so seriously, just go, give me the meat, give me the veggies, be done with it. And I've eaten at vegetarian restaurants. Actually, when I used to live in Colorado, there's a place in Golden. I'm blanking out on the name of it, but I used to live in Golden, just outside of Denver. And it was amazing. It was influenced by the guy who used to like study with the Buddhists and like over there, and came over here and decided to bring what he learned. And there was some great food. It was amazing. Some of the soups had so much flavor because this is something, whether you're a vegetarian or not, people say, oh, when you start cleaning up your diet, it gets boring. And I said, well, no, it only gets boring if you allow it to. There's so much you can do with broccoli. Like I tell people all the time, like, if you take the time to figure out what herbs and spices are, changes everything.
Totally. In fact, actually in LA, there is a really popular restaurant that's called Gracias Madre, and it is a vegan Mexican place. And that just messes with everybody's head. They're like, what? Vegan Mexican? Oh my gosh, it's blasphemous. Whatever. That place is so popular. And when you go and you eat there, if you just put that aside, also, they're not serving products that are like, oh, it's soy imitation chicken or imitation beef.
I don't like that. Like either you're in or you're out. Like stop with this imitation stuff. Like
no. Totally.
That's why I always say, like, dude, if you're gonna be a vegetarian, be a vegetarian. Like don't start this. Oh, I've got some fake beef. I'm like, I thought you're being a vegetarian for a reason. Like if you're gonna, like I may not 100% agree with the lifestyle choice, but I'm like, I'm not going to tell you not to do it. I'm just going to tell you, stop trying to fake it.
Yeah. No, I know. But what's so great about this place is that they don't try to fake it. They have a butternut squash quesadilla. They've got these really interesting, that's like, okay, it's got, I guess it's the cashew equivalent cashew cheese. But aside from that, I mean, it's like, it's not trying to be anything it isn't.
Right.
Food's incredible there, and people don't come out being like, oh man, I sure wish that there was some carne asada in there. Like they're not even thinking about that there.
It's like, dude, you're at the wrong restaurant. I mean,
yeah, totally. You got to go down the street, Tito's Tacos, make that happen. Oh my gosh.
Well, I was just doing a screen share real quick, not to change the subject, but on the same thing of adventure, like adventurous diets and stuff. I noticed like you have like a partner section on your site. What's this elite adventure tours? Because when I see the word adventure, so you're in my world now. What do we got going on over there?
Yeah, Elite Adventure Tours. They are an amazing private tour company in LA, and there are a lot of different private tour companies. But what I love about them is they really specialize. They've got incredible helicopter tours. I actually worked with them and did this awesome video and got to take a helicopter tour of Los Angeles over an hour, just traveling all around the city, and it was truly breathtaking. But these guys are awesome. They do hiking tours. They've got yacht tours, and then they also have like the traditional private tour in an SUV, but they're just they just have a different spin on things, and hence the name.
I like their tag here on the website. We're doing the screen share for these guys because I clicked on them through your page. Destination management. I like that. Mm-hmm. That's actually pretty cool. Like everybody's got private tours or for this tour, like destination management. Smart on the branding on that. So
yes, no, definitely.
Well, actually, it's funny. So we're actually looking into stuff like this ourselves right now for not this winter, but next winter. I'm finally going to break my rule and get married. So, my fiance and she agreed to my lifestyle choice, which is, I think weddings suck. I will go and party if you invite me to, but I will not be dressing up into a tuxedo and spending thousands of dollars on a party. I was like, I'd rather spend thousands of dollars on a destination adventure. So we're going to go heli skiing for our wedding. So
really?
Yeah, I figured I was saving this for you. I wanted to make sure we had a build up because I was like, I think she'd get a kick out of this.
Oh,
so,
are you kidding me? I'm like, sign me up. Heli skiing?
That's right. So we're going to go to Canada for that.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've heard of Banff.
Yes.
And huge skier, little niche
Are you
area.
going to be staying at the Fairmont Banff?
Is that the one that looks like a castle?
Yes.
We are looking at that right now. So.
Well, if you
should we be talking offline here? Is there some
no.
Is there some connections?
Well, so part of the whole thing with concierge, just to chime in on that, if you saw the movie Grand Budapest Hotel, where it is like you saw where they were like calling from one concierge to a next, and there was the Society of the Cross.
Yeah, you guys have like a network. It's like a secret society of concierge experts.
Exactly, and when you so amazingly tried to say the word Les Clefs d'Or, which stands for the gold keys in French. So I'm actually part of that organization. And that's through that organization where I actually won the best young concierge in the world.
Oh, get the hell out. We're going full circle on this now.
Oh, totally full circle. So that is a real deal thing. And I'm part of that organization. So if you see any of the pictures of me in my work uniform, you will see I am wearing crossed keys because I am part of that.
Cool.
And very active within that community as well too, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Well, should we be throwing you a solid and reaching out to them saying we should be actually connecting through you? I don't know how this all works. So like, does that help you win points because like, oh, you found out of us because of Sarah? I don't know. So,
no.
We have no loyalty. We'll like connect through somebody.
Well, look, they understand what I do and bring to the table as well too. So they've been very warm and welcoming with that. But because of that, every year they have international and domestic conferences. So you go to these conferences and you just end up seeing like you become really good friends with these people. And one of my really good friends, Don Mooney, amazing, the Don, is at the Banff, at the Fairmont Banff Hotel. Oh. And so that's why it's like, it really ends up being, it's a small community. So if you, that's why, again, it's like you talk to the concierge because let's say you're going on to another destination and you mention that, they're like, oh, great, where are you staying? They might actually know who the concierge is there, and then they can do an introduction. I have people that come to me all the time and they're like, hey, I was just in Chicago and they found out I was coming here and they told me I had to say hi to you. And
it's interesting. So we're probably turning this into a very long week trip. And we're trying to, the cool thing is her mother and her father now want to jump out of a helicopter with us. I mean, to be fair, you're not jumping out of a helicopter, you're stepping out of it on a mountaintop. But so my original master plan was I was going to get like drones and like have just go epic with this, everybody's just coming out of helicopters and skiing down the mountain. And then we just stop and I just take her glove off. We do the ring thing. It takes like 30 seconds and then we keep going because to me, it's like, how long does a wedding really need to take?
It doesn't need to take that long at all. And I love this is such an epic idea. Oh my gosh. Kudos to you.
Well, the best part is like, so then I've had to adapt a little bit because she's like, listen, her parents' friends want to come and they're all retired ski nuts. So it's like, we're trying to like respect that. And so I was like, all right, now we're probably going to do like the wedding or at least like the ring ceremony, like at the helicopters, like headquarters or wherever that is.
That's awesome.
Then we fly up because
it's so cool.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out the logistics because like some people are advanced skiers and some aren't. So that way we don't have to worry about somebody missing the ceremony. We do it there real quick. And then like 2 helicopters leave. Like ours goes to the advanced hill, advanced mountain. And then like her parents and all those people can go to wherever they want to go ski and then get their backcountry experience, the heli skiing experience. Everybody's happy. And then even if we're not staying at the Fairmont, we are, no matter what, we're doing something with that Fairmont because that place looks badass. And maybe if we don't stay there, because there's some place higher up that's like a high tower with like sick views hotel.
I don't know that one off the top of my head, but
she's seriously considering that one and then saying, great, maybe we just do the big dinner night thing at the castle place. I don't know. We're still figuring it out. We haven't booked anything.
But what I love is that how you took just the idea of hella skiing. Oh my gosh, I love that phrase. And how it's turned into all of this. And because, how cool.
Well, because I'm the guy, see, you don't know me, but I'm the guy for years was the bachelor, right? And I turned 40 a couple weeks ago before Thrive. And it's just, I finally met a girl that actually wants to do crazy stuff with us. She and I both don't want kids. She's 35. I'm 40. We're both young professionals. We both have our own businesses. We're trying to build that. I call it the freedom trifecta, the time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom.
Yeah.
And along the way, let's start putting in the reps. Let's get these trips in, and let's think outside the box, because my brand, who I am, right? Live the Fuel stands for live the fired up epic life. So it's like, I can't have a boring wedding. It's like, if I'm finally going to man up and give somebody a ring, it's got to be something epic and adventurous, because that's just who I am. And my friends are like, you do know the wedding's not about you. And I'm like, it's about us and our future. So I got a say in this. I was like, all I did was agree to do the heli skiing thing. She thought it was awesome. She's already done it once. I haven't, actually. And her parents never have. So everybody, as soon as they said yes, then I just backed away, and she's been planning everything because she's all about it now. So,
but are you kidding me? It's so awesome. And it just goes to show you how it is really such a perfect fit.
Yeah.
Because but
I feel like we should be doing some more concierge interaction now that I've been talking to you, because it's like, it could probably make things go a lot faster.
Totally. Even if it is just like a general, like a conversation, so that you can get an idea of like, what's possible. Half the times I talk to people and they just want to know like what's possible.
Oh, you see, but that's just tea. I'm already outside the box on that. I'm like, I know that anything is impossible. It is possible in life. You just have to have the open mind to go figure it out, and then you have to figure it out. But to your point, though, if we have the experts to reach out to, they could shave a ton of time off of that and just really help with that.
They've probably seen it before in some and not like to. They've seen something like it, or they've seen either the exact same thing or something like it. So then they can kind of help guide.
Like our struggle right now is figuring out transportation, right? It's like, okay, how do we get people there?
Then
we got to figure out what busing company can handle the logistics of busing people to a helicopter launch zone to get to the heli skiing and then back again. That's that's the newest thing that just popped up. And I'm like, there's got to be somebody for that.
Call your concierge.
Well, we don't have a concierge. Okay?
Well, yeah, I know, right?
You're my first concierge guru I've ever had on the show. So,
well, but that's where I think once you guys finally end up deciding where you stay, then you can absolutely tap into the concierge at that hotel, because basically what they'd be like, oh yeah, cool, you can totally do this. This is what the price is. There's normally an hourly minimum. Boom, 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 and all of a sudden you're like, cool, it's possible. Does this price range make sense, or do we need something else? And then you're already like 5 steps away.
Yeah, because we're looking at companies that do the full size buses. Then I'm like, well, what about the shorter limo, short bus type concept? And I'm like, what if there's a winter storm hinting? So I got to make sure these are companies that have done this before, because I am not missing my helicopter ride. So I was like, I will snowshoe up there.
Oh my gosh! But also, then you have to take into consideration that if they are transportation companies there, this is what they do. So
right. And that's what I told her too. Like, we should be looking at local supported community companies. Always shop local, because this is their niche. This is what they do.
Totally. And they've seen everything from whether it's having to deal with the weather to other situations. So that's absolutely the way to go.
Yeah, I like that. So now I got to talk to her about that tonight, because I'm going to name drop this Don Mooney dude, unless you recommend another way of reaching out to this guy and see if she's seriously considered Fairmont.
Don Mooney's the man. If you mention Sarah from LA, he'll giggle, and it'll be funny. He doesn't look like a guy that would giggle, but no, he's awesome. So definitely, and to everybody else that's listening out there, I guess.
Well, yeah. Well, I tell people all the time, and this is actually a great way to start bringing the show towards a close, is like, we've brought this up multiple times on this show before, is I am a huge networker. That's why I'm building a podcast over the past year plus now, and I go to events and I'm constantly connecting or trying to help other people get connected. Like, it's not always about you. That's the other thing with networking, right? It's like, who can I help get connected to somebody else. And that's something that I've now been able to build thanks to the podcast too, is I have another whole circle of influence now. I have over 100 co-hosts that have been on the show from all different walks of life. So one of my takeaways is when I leave an episode and I have a new co-host on, I immediately start thinking, who am I going to get them connected to? Whose show could maybe they go on, or what could benefit them and their brand growth? That's the secret. One of the secrets to success is just helping other people grow their own network and get connected.
Totally. And that's the whole exciting thing is that all of a sudden your world opens up. For a very long time, I was definitely very active within the concierge community, and it's great. I mean, I am within it. But as soon as I created Ask a Concierge and I made it a point to start attending, I attended travel influencer conferences, and I attend, entrepreneur conferences and all sorts of things. All of a sudden, my outreach and my immediate network expanded, and the depth of it, it's been incredible. So it enriches you as well too, because you're learning from other people. I may not be in real estate. I don't know anything about real estate, but how cool I can have a conversation with a friend of mine that is, and all of a sudden you just become a more enriched, knowledgeable human being. And
it's one of the takeaways from attending Thrive was that, Cole Hatter is heavily invested in the real estate market. And a lot of people who attended that event are in real estate. And as I grow my businesses and my investment opportunities, I'm also looking to add real estate in as a component to my income stream. So I already have people now sitting there ready for me to reach out to when I'm ready. Yeah. And that's to your point. That was a very valuable point you brought up about opening your circles. Like, never feel like you're bottlenecked. And that's the feeling of bottlenecking or being restricted or being held back is our own mindset. Mm-hmm. And that's where, like, to your point is, like, if you wanted to grow yourself as an influencer in the concierge community, boom, you launch your own brand, you start going to the events, you start connecting people like me, for example, to other people. Like, I'm not going to LA, but you're like, oh dude, that's okay. I got a guy. I love that. Yeah,
exactly. And it is all about, it is your network. And funny enough is that it does kind of come full circle in the concierge community, because that is what we do. It is, all of us are like, I got a guy. But then to bring it out a little bit more, and something with what I've been able to build with Ask a Concierge, it's like, I've got a lot of guys and all over the place. And and also you can learn from them too. I think sometimes it takes looking at somebody and what they've done with their business in a completely unrelated field, and you can take something from that and apply it to what you're doing. But you needed to see it from a different angle for it to really hit home with you. And there are gems everywhere, and you just have to mine it. So networking is key.
I love that. And real quick, back to your site, and then we'll close out the show here. But you had a note on here about the, again, to our listeners, guys, askaconcierge.tv. But she's got a free concierge guide. What's that all about? Is that for people like me, like newbies, embracing working with a concierge?
It is. Actually, it's like a little, like, 2-page guide to LA, just kind of like highlights that sort of thing.
So, is this one niche to the LA market?
So that is particular. So,
and you could just start replicating that as a platform into all these other markets.
I might be working on that.
Oh, look at that. Sorry, that's my marketing brain. Can't help it.
No, that's great. I do actually have a new website launching within the next month. So we're going to be offering a lot more things. And I'm actually excited because I'm going to be offering my services to help create basically like suggested itineraries for people at a very nominal fee, and just kind of putting that out there. So it's like, hey,
nice.
If you want to have the opportunity to pick the brain of a local expert, you can totally do that. And we're working on some nice deliverables. So kind of cool to just take it to the next level and to really be able to share personal recommendations with people.
That's exciting. Well, when you release, now if I'm on that email list for the free guide, will I get that update when the site goes out?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So good. I'll get updated. That means, listeners, if you want to see what the new fancy Ask a Concierge looks like in the next few weeks or months, get on the email list. But Sarah, to your benefit, when we bring a show to a close, because you're the co-host today, it's not me interviewing you, right? I want to make sure we honor you and you have the final words to our listeners. So this is an opportunity for you just to say, you know what, this is not I'm not selling a business and marketing else. Like, what is it that what inspired you to create Ask a Concierge? What inspires you to move forward? Like, what is that message you want to leave behind to our listeners to help them maybe live a healthier lifestyle? I don't know. Like, is there a big all-encompassing message you're trying to put out to the world where you're going next?
Yeah, I mean, really, and I've kind of come up with this for my brand, but I think it really applies to so many things. And it's about curating your best life. And that can apply to health, that can apply to experiences, that can apply to getting out of your job and getting into a better one. And it really is bringing it back to the fact that we ultimately have the power, no matter how dark or tough our current situation is, we ultimately have the power and the ability to make choices, big or small, to start curating the best life for us to have. Whether it's eating healthier, whether it's working out every day or 5 days a week, whatever it is, whether it's visiting new destinations, adding a new course so then you can continually educate yourself. We have that opportunity. So, and we have that opportunity more and more with social media. There are so many incredible people in this world that are putting out such inspiring content that no matter what your interest is, maybe it's an interest you didn't even know you had. And next thing you know, you're scrolling on Instagram and you find it. So we actually live in a very exciting time where we're empowered to do a lot, and we can really, we've got everything we have all the tools at our fingertips to curate and build our best life.
I love that. Wow, listeners, and hang tight. I want to give you a proper goodbye here for a second, but I know you got a lot going on. To our listeners, guys, that's a powerful message right there, right? Curate your best life. I mean, the tools and resources are out there. She's already said it. I've said it multiple times on past shows. If you're a new listener right now, again, go check her out at askaconcierge.tv. If you are newly listening to this show, subscribe, because as she just hinted at, there's plenty of new content coming out day in and day out. And we want to give you those tools so you can curate your own best life. So again, to our listeners, guys, this is what we're all about. Keep living a fired up epic life. And we'll talk to you guys again soon. And you're free of the pod.
Oh, awesome. That was so fun. So great chatting.
I love your energy. You must be a kick-ass concierge. So
yeah, well, I do all right. No, I mean, it's honestly about like kind of being present and caring. Like you care, and it's.
Well, and that's so, we're mankind, right? We're supposed to be caring about each other.
Yeah,
so,
we are. We're supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I told everybody on those Facebook Live videos after the whole mess in Vegas. I was like, guys, like, we can allow that to create negative disruption, or we can immediately flip this into an instantaneous response and push positive disruption.
Yeah.
And that's what we have control over.
100%.
With what you're doing or what I'm doing. It's what everybody else has the power to do. Like, why dwell on the negative, right?
Totally.
Let's focus on the positive.
Totally, because there is so much positive, and it's so easy. It's so easy to focus on negative. I mean, no matter all of us, like, we're living, obviously, no. But when you just turn it around, it's because I get it. Like especially being an entrepreneur and trying to build things and all of that, and whether you're stuck between like a day job and not quite making it to being fully on your own yet, there is a struggle there, and there's that little bit of a tug of war, but. It all is mindset and perspective. And the moment you shift that, it first of all, it changes everything for you. But not only that, but how cool. We have the power to do that. Yeah. You don't need to rely on anybody else. So, I mean, it kind of, when you feel kind of powerless, you just have to remind yourself that you have the power.
I know. I love it.
Yeah.
So
likewise.
So we got to figure out, there's going to be a way for us to catch up when you're here on the East Coast.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What I'll do is I'll shoot you when I'm going to be. I still don't know the exact dates I'll be in New York and the exact date. Normally what I do is I'm in New York for like 2 days, drive out, maybe even do the Bieber bus. Good old Bieber bus.
Yeah. When was are you here every year?
Yeah, I come every year for Thanksgiving. And then I normally come once or twice just to visit my mom and then my grandparents. My grandfather's turning 92 and my grandfather's 88. So it's, I like to come out and visit them and harass them as much.
Well, I mean, and like, you're not gonna have a problem with the bus thing, because ever since they built the Sands Casino here and Bethlehem Steel has turned into a giant tourist trap,
Oh yeah.
They got the park and ride bus terminals now all being built everywhere. There's no problems with logistics.
No. Yeah. I mean, I either drive out with my cousin from New York, which we kind of we've done that many, many years. Or, I mean, I've been taking the Bieber bus since I was like 14. So I'm like, just hop on the bus, sleep 2 hours. Next thing you know, you're in.
Well, and again, depending on what you're doing in New York, if you guys are bored and you want to do some charity work right before Thanksgiving, I'll be up there.
No, that'd be amazing. No, for sure. If it overlaps, I'm down.
Like I said, I'm usually up there the day before or the 2 days before Thanksgiving. And then we just, especially the day before Thanksgiving morning, that's when everything kicks into high gear. Cool. And then we run all the way into the evening. So we have a lot of people who just show up like the night before. They do some time, chopping spices, whatever. Yeah. And then they move on to wherever they're going next. And then we have a whole different team of volunteers who show up and actually serve meals on the street Thanksgiving morning.
That's nice. Yeah. So cool. If it's the day before, that's totally doable. So I might, let me see what I could.
Let's stay in touch. We have each other's email, right, and everything. And actually, because a past co-host I aired last week, her name is Katie Trost. She's going to be moving to New York City from Germany. And I told her, I was like, she's all excited too. If she can get up, if she's here stateside at Thanksgiving, she wants to come out and hang out too. So
totally. And I've always wanted to do that. So, and especially in New York. I mean, I lived in New York for a bit, so it's like whenever I go there, it's not like I'm trying to do touristy things. Like I want to do real deal stuff, and that's I'm on board with that.
The best part is we're not officially affiliated with them, but we will be doing it right on the safety of Columbia University's campus. So,
nice. Okay.
The meal serving happens on the streets, but as far as the kitchen, one of the kitchens we use, we basically borrow one of the full professional grade kitchens that feed their residential halls. We work with one head chef there. He really helps us out a lot. So,
that's awesome. Oh, that's so great. So good.
But then you give me Sister Mary Lanning. Well, she's no longer a sister, but she was the full habit-wearing nun.
Oh, really?
She's the one she founded this thing on the hood of her car in Harlem 30 plus years ago. So
wait, how is she no longer a sister? What happens? How does?
I don't know. I never did. I never did ask her that. Because she has her own not-for-profit organization. Like she started her own 501c3. She's on boards of multiple charities. She runs another thing. I've actually gone up and spoken to her Boys Hope, Girls Hope over in one of the boroughs. I've spoken at one of their kids events, inspiring kids to create change. It's pretty cool. So
that's so cool.
That lady's got some hustle. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, no, please, we should definitely stay in touch for that because I'd love to do that.
It'd be awesome. And then worst case scenario, we can always catch up. Like I said, I literally run the kitchen all night long, and then because I'm trying to create life balance, I don't deal with the street anymore, and I come back with like no sleep and do Thanksgiving here. And my friends and I, we literally do a Jägermeister mountain biking ride Thanksgiving morning, and then
you don't do the turkey trot in Bethlehem?
No.
It was a joke.
Yeah, but no, I know a lot of people who do that. So
I've done it before.
Okay, well there you go. I think I might have done it once. So
we did it once, and then I think I was like, we're good.
No.
We're good.
But anyway, let's definitely stay in touch, and I would be honored to have you, just connect up because it's powerful. And she does not advertise this event; it's all word of mouth. She doesn't want the news knowing about it. She doesn't want like TV cameras there portraying what people go through. It's awesome. We partner with the New York City Fire Department. They actually cook. We prep all the turkeys, and then a fire department guy shows up in a van and then takes all of our organic turkeys out to all the surrounding New York City Fire Department houses, and they cook the turkeys for us in their kitchens, and then they transport them into the street as we transport all the side dishes that we've been making. It's so cool. So
it takes a village.
It does. I mean, 2,000 meals from scratch and that are served hot on the street. Like we literally have makeshift grills set up on the street. Everything's being, it's an amazing orchestrated event. So
that's amazing. That's incredible.
It's cool.
That's so cool. So cool.
Yeah. But anyway, so good. I left you some inspiration for the rest of your day.
Yeah, dude. Are you kidding me? I'm like jazzed up now.
Well, thank you for hopping on the show. It's Small World, Allentown connection, and I'll keep you in a loop as when this is going to air. If there's anything additional that you need to send me, I think you already sent me the link to your headshot and everything else.
Yeah, I think I sent everything. But if there's any
Yeah, if there's any additional links that you all of a sudden pop in your head later, email them over because I really want to put together, I like to put together robust blog notes. So I tell people, like, if you have other platforms or stuff you want to share, I'll embed that all in because it keeps Google happy anyway. Google wants to see everybody's sites talking to each other. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Totally get it.
Yeah. So I'm a branding guy for marketing consulting. So it's like, if I'm not helping my co-hosts grow their brand, there's something wrong. So
no, for sure. And likewise, obviously, like I'll be sharing it as well too. So
sweet.
The cross promotion.
Bonus. So, but thank you for the name drop on Mr. Don Mooney. I'll reach out to him.
Oh my gosh, that'll be hilarious. He'll laugh.
Like, hey, Sarah from LA says hi.
Yeah. And he'll be like, Sarah, the Dandashy? What's she want? Oh.
Cool.
Cool. So good talking to you. And we'll stay in touch.
All right. Well, Thrive Tribe next year.
It's happening. It is on.
Right. Well, enjoy the beautiful LA weather. And actually, we have some sunny, beautiful weather here. I'll be mountain biking in a couple hours. So
there you go. You're going to enjoy that. That's awesome.
All right. Enjoy the day.
All right. You too. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye. Bye.